Hello. Dinner that night started out just like any other Friday. Nothing fancy at all, just burgers and a couple of beers at this little place downtown that my buddy Logan and his girlfriend Megan had been raving about for weeks. Good food, decent music, the kind of spot where you could actually talk without shouting over everything. We were there with another couple, Skylar and her husband Ethan. They had been married 3 years, and they always looked like one of those couples who were perfectly in sync, finishing each other's thoughts and laughing at jokes only they understood. I was telling everyone about a project at work, something big my team had just pulled off. Skylar asked what exactly I did for a living, and before I gave an answer, I smiled, motioned toward my fiancée, and said, "Well, my soon-to-be wife here keeps asking me the same question." I said it jokingly, lighthearted, like something sweet between us. But she cut me off right in the middle of my sentence. "Can you stop calling me that?" The whole table went silent. Ethan froze with his beer halfway to his mouth. I blinked. "Stop calling you what?" "Soon-to-be wife," she said, rolling her eyes. It makes me sound like I settled or something. Like I did not have any other choices. I put my fork down and just stared at her, waiting for the joke, the grin, something that would tell me she did not mean it. But she kept a straight face. No laugh, no smile, nothing. "Good to know," I said finally. 2 simple words. Then I picked up my fork and went back to my food. Skylar tried to get a new conversation started by asking Ethan what they were doing that weekend. Logan jumped in with some story about his boss. My fiancée laughed at all the right parts and even touched my arm a couple of times like everything was fine, but she never really looked at me again for the rest of dinner. The drive home was quiet. She scrolled on her phone and showed me a couple of videos she thought were funny. I gave the polite responses, "Yeah, huh, that is wild." When we got back to the apartment, she kissed my cheek and said she was exhausted. 10 minutes later, she was asleep. I sat on the couch in the dark thinking about what she said, replaying her tone. The way she said it so casually, like calling her my future wife was some kind of insult. Eventually, I grabbed my laptop. I opened the folder with all of our wedding plans, venue contract, catering, the band she picked after listening to samples for almost a month straight. I emailed the venue first, told them, politely and professionally, that I needed my name removed from the reservation and that all communication should go to her. No drama, no explanation, just a change in arrangements. Then I went down the whole list. Caterer, photographer, florist, the disc jockey she spent hours researching. Every contract that had both our names on it, I requested to remove mine. One by one. Took me about 2 hours. Then I logged into the wedding website she built. The one with our photos and the little countdown clock on the homepage. I removed myself as an administrator and changed my role from groom to nothing at all. Her social media took the longest. I could not delete the posts she made, but I could remove myself from them. Every tagged photo, every long caption about our future together, every hashtag, untagged. Months of her posts, gone from my profile. By 3 in the morning, I had a folder on my laptop labeled documentation. Screenshots of every email I sent, every confirmation I got back, every timestamp. Everything in order. I finally went to bed around 4. She was still asleep on her side of the bed, curled up with her phone in her hand. I slipped into bed gently, so I did not wake her, and stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. In the morning, she was cheerful. She made coffee, talked about how fun dinner had been, said she loved hanging out with Skylar and Ethan. Asked me if I wanted to go to the farmer's market later. "Sure," I said. She had no idea anything was different. And why would she? The apartment looked the same. Breakfast looked the same. I looked the same. But I knew something she did not. I had already started pulling myself out of the wedding, out of her plans, out of everything. And she had no clue what was coming. Monday, I went to work like usual. Same drive. Same coffee. Same desk I had been sitting at for 4 years. I am a logistics coordinator at a mid-sized distribution company. I make sure shipments get where they need to go without anyone losing their minds in the process. Pays pretty decent, around $23 an hour. Good benefits. Not glamorous, but I am not ashamed of it. She always found ways to make it seem small, though. At parties, when people asked what I did, she would jump in before I could answer. "Oh, he works in shipping," she would say, waving her hand like it was nothing. Technically true, technically misleading. When I got promoted last year, lead coordinator, 10% raise, my own team, she barely reacted. She smiled at me that night and said, "That is great, babe," when I told her about my promotion. Then she spent the next 20 minutes talking about how her coworker, Leah, had just been bumped up to senior associate at the marketing firm. Looking back, that should have been my first warning sign. I noticed it then, but I did not treat it like something worth worrying about. On Tuesday around lunchtime, she sent me a message. "Do not forget brunch with the girls on Sunday. I am showing them the final venue photos." "Got it," I replied. She sent back a heart emoji, like everything between us was perfect. Like Friday night never happened. That evening, I opened our shared digital calendar. We had one of those color-coded ones, blue for my stuff, pink for hers, purple for things we did as a couple. There was a lot of purple. Engagement party in 3 weeks. Cake tasting after that. Meeting with the officiant. Rehearsal dinner planning session. All the typical wedding steps. I changed every purple event to pink. Removed myself as an attendee. The event stayed there. She still had her plans. I just was not part of them anymore. On Wednesday, her mother called me at work asking whether I had any preferences for the rehearsal dinner menu. I always liked her mom. Genuine woman. Treated me with respect every time we talked. "I think you should ask your daughter," I told her. "It is her event." "It is both of yours, sweetheart," she said. "Not anymore. She will explain." Then I hung up before she could press me for details. I felt a little guilty, but not enough to undo anything. That night, my fiancée was scrolling through wedding hashtags on social media when she suddenly looked up. "Did my mom call you today?" "Yeah." "What did you tell her?" "She sent me this weird text about checking with you regarding the rehearsal dinner." I told her to ask you. "It is your event." She actually laughed. "Do not be dramatic. You are probably just stressed from work." I did not argue. I just nodded and went back to my laptop. Thursday, I grabbed lunch with Logan. He has been my closest friend since college, one of the few people who knows what I was like before she came into my life. We picked up sandwiches from this deli near my office. "How is the wedding planning going?" he asked. "It is going," I said. He heard something in my voice. Logan always picks up on things. "Everything okay with you too?" I thought about telling him everything. All of it. Instead, I said, "You remember last Friday at dinner?" "Yeah, that was weird, right?" He said. "When she made that comment about settling?" "You caught that?" "Dude, everyone caught that. Skylar asked me in the car on the way home if you two were fighting." "We are not fighting," I said. "Then what is going on?" "I am just paying attention," I said, noticing things I should have seen earlier. He waited for me to keep talking, but I did not. Eventually, he changed the subject, though I could tell he was worried. Friday afternoon, I got an email from the venue confirming that they had processed my request. My name had been removed from the contract, and all future communication would go directly to her email. I forwarded the entire thread to my documentation folder and added it to the spreadsheet where I was tracking everything. That evening, she burst through the door excited, practically talking over herself. "So I was thinking," she said, dropping her bag. "What if we do a destination bachelor and bachelorette weekend? Combined. We could go to this resort in Mexico. Everyone together. Skylar and Ethan are in, and Leah said she could probably swing it too." "Sounds expensive," I said. "It would be," she admitted. "But it is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, right? We could split the cost. Make it work." "Once in a lifetime," I repeated. She looked thrilled. Already planning an event I would barely have a say in, but would certainly be expected to fund. "You should definitely do that," I said. "We should do that," she corrected. "No," I said calmly. "I mean you. You should plan that trip with your friends. Do the bachelorette thing the right way." "But I wanted it to be together," she said. "It would be more fun. I think you will have more fun without me there." She tilted her head, studying me for a long moment. "Are you mad about something?" "Not mad," I said. "Just realistic." "You are acting weird," she said. "Ever since last Friday, you have been different." "Good to know," I said. The same 2 words from the restaurant. She recognized it instantly. I saw her expression shift, not enough to start a fight, but enough that she knew I was not letting Friday slide under the rug. "Fine," she said at last. "I will plan it with the girls." "Sounds good." She went into the bedroom. A few minutes later, I heard her laughing on the phone with Leah, already planning the Mexico trip. I sat on the couch and opened my laptop. I searched for short-term apartment rentals. Something month to month. Fully furnished. Not luxurious. Just a place to exist while I figured out the long-term plan. Found a studio about 20 minutes away. Quiet area. Everything I needed. Available the following week. I booked it for 2 months and paid the deposit right then. Sunday was getting close. The brunch with her friends, the one where she planned to parade around the newest venue photos, talk about centerpieces, seating charts, color palettes, and every other detail she had been planning without ever really asking what I wanted. And I had plans for Sunday too. She just had no idea yet. On Saturday morning, I woke up knowing exactly what I needed to do. My mind felt clearer than it had in months. She was still asleep when I slipped out of bed. I made myself some coffee, opened my laptop, and sat at the kitchen table to start the day. The first place I contacted was the jewelry store, the same one where I bought her engagement ring 14 months back. I had saved for 8 months to buy that thing. Not because I could not get financing, but because I wanted to pay with real money I earned. Wanted it to mean something. $8,400. She chose the setting herself, princess cut diamond, platinum band. Told me it was perfect. I called the store right when they opened at 9. Explained everything calmly, like it was a standard business call. Engagement called off. Ring in perfect condition. All the original paperwork still in my hands. The woman on the phone sounded sympathetic, but didn't sugarcoat anything. Store policy allowed returns within 18 months, minus a 15% restocking fee. I would get $7,140 back. When can you bring it in? She asked. Today. Within the hour? I will be there. She was still sleeping by the time I left the apartment. I took the ring from the box in her jewelry drawer. She never wore it around the house, said she didn't want to risk damaging it while doing chores. I used to think that meant she was careful. Now I realized she only wanted it untouched for the photos. The return took about 20 minutes. They inspected the diamond, checked the band, pulled up my original purchase. The manager came out, had me sign a couple of documents, then processed the refund immediately. I am sorry things did not work out, the manager said. I am not, I told him, taking the receipt. After leaving the store, I stopped by an office supply shop and bought a cheap ring box. Black velvet, nothing special. Good enough to look official. Empty enough to make a point. When I got home, she was cooking breakfast. Where did you go? She asked. Had a few errands to take care of, I said. Wanted to get them done early. She nodded, not suspicious at all. We ate together while she talked non-stop about the brunch the next day, how excited she was to show everyone the venue updates, how Leah was bringing her newly engaged sister for advice, how Skylar had decided to make the mimosas with fresh squeezed juice. Sounds nice, I said. You are being supportive all of a sudden, she said, smiling. I kind of like it. I just smiled back and kept my mouth shut. After breakfast, I told her I promised Logan I would help him move some furniture. It was only half a lie. I had texted Logan earlier asking to borrow his truck for a few hours. He asked why. I told him I would explain later. That afternoon, I moved the essentials into the studio apartment. The clothes I actually wore, my laptop, important papers, a few personal things. Nothing she would notice yet. The furniture stayed. The decorations stayed. All the shared pieces that made our place look like a home together stayed. On the surface, nothing had changed. Logan helped me load the boxes. He waited until we were almost done before asking the obvious question. You leaving her? Already left, I said. She just does not realize it yet. He shook his head slowly. Man, what happened? I got tired of being someone's backup plan. He did not push after that. He just nodded, understanding. You need a place to stay? He asked. I have it handled. But thanks. We grabbed a beer afterward, talked about normal things, his job, dumb stuff that happened during the week. For a moment, it felt good to just be myself again, not someone else's disappointing fiancé. When I got home that evening, she was curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, watching a show. How was helping Logan? She asked. Good. His new place is coming together. That is nice. She paused for a moment, then added, Oh, I forgot to tell you. The venue emailed me about the final numbers. We are all set for June. Good for you, I said. She looked up sharply. Good for us, right? Us. She watched me, trying to figure out what was different. I was not angry. I was not cold. I was just present but disconnected, and that threw her off more than any argument would have. Are you okay? She asked. Never better. You have been acting strange all week. Have I? I asked. Yes, she insisted. Like you were far away. Did something happen at work? Work is fine. Then what is it? Nothing. Just thinking about the future. Our future. Sure. That too. She set her wine down. Okay, seriously, what is going on? I looked at her. Thought about listing every moment she had belittled me, every time she cared more about appearances than about us, every time I was the joke instead of the partner. But instead, I just said, "You will find out tomorrow." "Find out what?" she asked. "At brunch. Enjoy your mimosas." I hear Skylar is squeezing the oranges herself. I grab my keys. "Where are you going?" she demanded. "Out," I said. "Out where? Does it matter?" I walked out before she could say another word. I drove aimlessly for a while, then ended up at the studio apartment, the one she did not know existed. I ate takeout on the empty floor with nothing but quiet around me. On Sunday morning, I woke up early in my new place. Peaceful. Simple. Mine. She called me 6 times the night before, but I did not answer a single one. She texted asking where I was. At midnight, I replied, "Home soon." And honestly, that was the truth. This little studio was home now. I got up early, showered, and put on decent clothes, button-down shirt, clean jeans, shoes that were not beat to hell. I wanted to look put together for what was coming. Her brunch with the girls was set for 11 o'clock. Reservation under her name, of course, at one of those trendy downtown spots she loved. Good food, lousy parking, and exactly the kind of place she used to brag about on social media. I had been there before. She picked it because it photographed well, not because she cared about the menu. Before heading out, I called the restaurant and asked to speak to the manager. I explained, carefully, that I needed something delivered to a specific table, to a specific seat, at a specific moment. He hesitated until I told him it involved a ring box. "A proposal?" he asked. "Not exactly," I said. "It is the opposite, but she needs to see it in front of her friends." There was a long pause. Then he said quietly, "I will take care of it." I drove to a coffee shop across the street from the restaurant and grabbed a seat by the window where I had a perfect view of the front door. Ordered a coffee, settled in, and waited. At 10:55, I saw Skylar and Eddie arrive. Then Leah came with her sister, the one who had just gotten engaged. A couple more women showed up, faces I recognized from her social media posts. At 11:05, she arrived. She stepped out of her car like she was stepping onto a stage, checked her makeup in the side mirror, smoothed her dress, fixed her hair. She looked excited, happy, completely unaware. I finished my coffee, checked my phone to make sure the battery was full and the ringer was loud, and waited for her to sit down. Through the coffee shop window, I watched her walk into the restaurant with that confident walk she used when she knew she would be the center of attention. Her friends all stood to hug her. Skylar handed her a mimosa. They were laughing, smiling, exactly the brunch she had planned. My phone sat on the table in front of me, screen up, ringer on high. The manager stepped out and approached their table. I saw him gesture toward the chair reserved for her. She looked confused for a second, until she noticed the ring box sitting neatly on her plate. Even from across the street, I saw her expression change. Confusion, then a bright, excited surprise. She lifted the box and held it up like she expected cheering. Her friends leaned closer, squealing and clapping. Skylar was already recording on her phone. Leah looked thrilled. Everyone thought they were witnessing a proposal. She opened the box. All the excitement at that table died instantly. I watched her face go through confusion, disbelief, realization, anger, then pure panic. She continued staring into the box as if it might magically fill itself. Inside was the refund receipt. $7,140 returned. From the engagement ring she adored. Her friends leaned over her shoulders, reading it. Their smiles disappeared. Suddenly, nobody knew where to look. My phone rang. I let it ring twice before answering and put it on speaker. Her voice came through tight and shaking. "What is this supposed to be?" "It is a refund receipt," I said calmly. "Kind of explains itself." "Where are you?" "That does not matter. What matters is where you are, having brunch with your friends. Hope the mimosas taste good." "You need to explain this right now," she snapped. I could hear chairs scraping, whispers, someone sniffling, probably Leah's sister. "You said I made you look like you settled," I said. "Remember that? Last Friday. At dinner." She said nothing. "I am just making sure you do not have to settle anymore," I continued. "Check the venue. Check the catering. Check the photographer. The florist. The disc jockey. You will notice my name is gone from all of it. This engagement is finished." "You cannot just decide that," she shouted. "Actually, I can. And I already did." Then I added, "Good to know, right? That is what you told me." "This is insane. You are acting insane over one comment. It is not about one comment. It is about what that comment showed me. But we can talk about that later if you want. Right now, your friends are waiting. Do not hang up on me, she said. Enjoy the mimosas, I said. And I hung up. She called back immediately. Declined. Called again. Declined. The third time, I turned off my phone completely. I stayed in the coffee shop another 20 minutes, watching through the window. She was on her feet now, pacing around the table, pressing her phone to her ear. Her friends were standing awkwardly around her. Skylar had her arms crossed. Eddie looked like he wanted to vanish. Leah was talking to her crying sister. The other two were whispering. The venue photos were still in her bag. The centerpiece talk was gone. The brunch she had been planning for weeks had crashed and burned in front of everyone. I left the coffee shop and drove to a storage facility. Rented a small unit, just enough space to move the rest of my things later. When I got back to the studio apartment, I sat down on the empty floor. No decorations. No shared belongings. No pictures of us smiling for social media. Just quiet. And for the first time in a long time, it felt right. My phone stayed shut off for about 3 hours. When I finally powered it back up, it almost had a heart attack. There were 42 missed calls waiting. 31 from her, 6 from her mother, 3 from Skylar, and 2 from numbers I did not recognize. 17 text messages from her lit up my screen. We need to talk. This is childish. You cannot do this. Pick up the phone. I am coming over. Where are you? Please. Her mother texted too. Sweetheart, please call me. Let us talk this through calmly. Skylar's message was simple. Hey, I do not know what happened, but she is really upset. Just checking on you. I replied to none of them. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the email from the wedding venue. The one confirming they had removed my name and shifted full responsibility to her. I forwarded it to her. No explanation. No note. Next, I forwarded the catering company confirmation. Then the photographer's update. Then the florist's message. The disc jockey. The rental company. All of them. Every vendor she had proudly bragged about was now hers alone. 37 forwarded emails in total. By the time I sent the last one, my phone started vibrating again. This time, it was her mother. I sighed and answered. She deserved at least that. What is happening? She asked, and she sounded genuinely worried, not angry. I am sure your daughter will explain, I said. She is devastated. Crying. She will not tell me what happened except that you embarrassed her in front of her friends. I gave her clarity, I said. There is a difference. Clarity about what? About whether I was someone she was proud to be with or someone she settled for. She showed me the answer last week. All over one disagreement. You are ending the entire relationship. It was not a disagreement. It was the truth slipping out. I took a breath. And I am not throwing anything away. I am choosing not to stay where I am not respected. She loves you, her mother insisted. She loves the wedding. That is not the same. Silence stretched on her end. I could hear her breathing, trying to understand. You are really serious? She finally said. Completely. She is going to try to fix this. She can try. Will you give her a chance? I thought about that. I thought about the nights I bit my tongue. The times she corrected me, joked at my expense, downplayed my career, made me feel like a placeholder in my own life. I thought about that night at dinner when she said calling her my future wife made her sound like she settled. No, I said. Her mother let out a long, sad breath. I am sorry, she said quietly. I always liked you. And I like you too. We hung up. The sun was going down when she tried the apartment door. Not my studio, the old apartment. The one she still assumed I was living in. She later told me she showed up at 7 o'clock, pounding on the door for 20 straight minutes. Then she used her key, walked into the place expecting a disaster. But everything looked exactly the same. My shirts hung in the closet. My toothbrush in the bathroom. My boots by the door. My jacket on the hook. Every sign pointed to me still living there. What she did not realize was that those were the items I left behind intentionally. The real parts of my life, the things that actually mattered, were already gone. She was only beginning to understand that. Monday morning, I went to work like nothing had changed, same routine, but a completely different mindset. Around 11, the receptionist called my desk. There is someone here to see you, she whispered. She says it is urgent. I knew exactly who it was. She stood in the lobby looking like she had not slept. Red eyes, messy hair, makeup smudged. She wore sweatpants and a hoodie. She almost never left the house without looking polished. The sight alone told me everything. We need to talk, she said. I am working. I do not care. We are talking now. The receptionist was pretending not to listen. Two co-workers were glancing over the edge of their cubicle walls. There is a coffee shop 2 blocks from here, I said. I will meet you there in 20 minutes. No, she snapped. Now. 20 minutes. I repeated, or not at all. She stormed out. I wrapped up my meeting, told my supervisor I needed to take my lunch early, and walked to the coffee shop. She was already inside, sitting in the corner, 2 coffees on the table. She had ordered one for me, like she always used to. It did not feel thoughtful anymore. It felt like she was assuming I was still the same man who fell into whatever plan she made. I sat, did not touch the cup. You cannot just end everything, she started. I made one stupid comment at dinner, and you are throwing away 3 years. It was not one comment, I said. It was a pattern. That night just made me finally see it. What pattern? She demanded. I pulled out my phone and opened a note I had been working on for months. A list of moments, dates, exact words, all the little cuts she never noticed. Last September, I said, at your company party, your boss asked what I did. Before I could answer, you jumped in with, "Oh, he just works in shipping." You said it like I was barely worth mentioning. I did not mean it that way. March, I continued, your college roommate's wedding. During the toast, she joked about you always knowing what you wanted in life. You laughed and said, "Well, mostly." Everyone laughed. I was standing right next to you. You are being overly sensitive. June, I said, your parents' anniversary dinner. Your father asked about my promotion. You changed the subject immediately to talk about Leah's boyfriend getting into medical school. Never mentioned my promotion once. She stared at me, jaw tight. You kept a list, she said. I kept a record, I corrected. There is a difference. This is crazy, she whispered. No, I said quietly. This is me finally paying attention. You have spent 3 years making me feel smaller so you could feel bigger. And I am finally done. She burst into tears. Real tears this time, not dramatic ones, not performative ones. But tears do not magically undo years of disrespect. Not anymore. She whispered it like it was supposed to fix everything. I love you. I want to marry you. I shook my head. No, I said. You love the idea of a wedding. You love planning things, getting attention, posting pictures. But loving me? You tolerated me. And honestly, I do not think you ever truly respected who I was. That is not true. Then tell me one time, I said, just one time, where you defended me when someone talked down to me. One time where you publicly celebrated something I achieved. One time where you introduced me as your fiancé and actually sounded proud. She opened her mouth, then closed it, then tried again. Nothing came out. Exactly, I said quietly. I can change, she whispered. Maybe you can, I said, but I am not sticking around to find out. So that is it, she asked. You were just done? No chance to fix anything? You did not want someone you had to settle for, I told her. Congratulations. You are free. I stood up. The coffee she bought for me stayed untouched. Do not contact me again, I said. My attorney will reach out about dividing anything we still share. Everything else is already separated. Your attorney? She repeated. You already hired one? I started setting all of this in motion last Friday night, I said. You were not paying attention. Then I walked out. Back at the office, my supervisor asked if I was okay. Yeah, I said. Personal stuff. Under control. Won't affect my work. The next week, she tried everything. She showed up at my gym. So I switched gyms. She waited outside my office. Security escorted her out after the 3rd attempt. She sent mutual friends to talk some sense into me. I told every single one of them the same thing. It is over. There is nothing left to discuss. Thursday night, Logan called. Man, Skylar has been talking to her. She is a complete wreck. That is unfortunate, I said. She is falling apart, he said. Maybe you should. Should what? I asked. Take her back because she is sad? She was not sad when she made me look like an embarrassment in front of all of you. Logan exhaled slowly. Fair point. I am not the villain here, I said. I finally stopped being the fool. 2 weeks after the brunch disaster, I got a text from her. Can we talk one more time? As adults? I thought about ignoring it. But there were a few loose ends. Closing a shared bank account, breaking the lease, final financial paperwork. Fine, I replied. Public place. Next week. 3 months later, we met again in that same coffee shop. where everything had really started to fall apart. 3 months changes people. Or maybe it just reveals who they truly were the whole time. She walked in looking polished again, hair done, makeup perfect, clean clothes, confident posture. But her eyes were different. The arrogance was gone. I saw uncertainty, maybe even fear. I was already seated. Wanted the advantage of being there first. She sat down across from me and ordered a latte. She chatted with the barista, stalling. "Thank you for meeting me," she said finally. "You said you wanted to talk as adults," I said. "So talk." She took a breath, like she had practiced this in the mirror a dozen times. "I have been thinking about what you said," she began. "About how I treated you. And you were right about some of it. I did downplay your job sometimes. I was not as supportive as I should have been. I am trying to own that. I am trying to grow. I am even going to therapy every week." "Good for you," I said, and I meant it. "That is healthy. So, can we try again?" "No." The word hit her like a punch. She winced. "Just like that," she whispered. "No discussion? No chance?" "What is there to discuss?" I asked. "You realized you treated me poorly. Good job recognizing that. But I am not required to give you another shot." "I would not do it again," she insisted. "I am different now." "Maybe you are," I said. "But here is what you do not understand. It does not matter. Because I cannot unlearn what you showed me about how you saw me." "People make mistakes," she whispered. "There is a difference between a mistake," I said, "and showing someone who you truly are." She swallowed hard. "You showed me I was just an accessory in your life. Someone to fill a role, make you look good, support your image. Not a partner. Not an equal. Just a convenient piece of your story." "That is not fair," she said. "Fair?" I asked. "You told a whole table of people that being called my future wife made you look like you settled. And you said it with confidence, like everyone there should understand exactly why that made sense." She lowered her eyes. "No argument this time. I hope you find someone you can be proud of," I told her, standing up. "Someone who makes you feel like you are winning, not settling. Because that is what you deserve. And I deserve someone who feels the same way about me." "Do you have someone else?" she asked softly. "No," I said. "I have something better." She frowned. "What is that?" "Myself," I said. "For the first time in 3 years, that feels like enough." I left cash for both coffees and walked out before she could answer. 6 months later, I was at Logan and Skylar's place for dinner. They had invited me over a few times since everything ended. They never brought her up. Never pushed. They just let me be myself. "You look good," Skylar said, handing me a glass of wine. "I am good," I said. "Actually good. Not pretending. Legitimately good." "I can tell," she said, smiling. "I got promoted last month," I added. "Started training for a marathon. Joined a book club." Logan almost spit out his drink. "A book club? You?" "Turns out I like reading," I said. "Especially now that no one is telling me it is a waste of time." We ate dinner, laughed about their dishwasher disaster, talked about movies and the news. For the first time in a long time, life felt normal. As I was leaving, Skylar hugged me. "I am proud of you," she said, "for knowing when to walk away." "Thanks," I told her. "I am proud of me too." I drove home to my apartment. The studio had become a one-bedroom, then eventually a two-bedroom closer to work. Each place a little nicer, a little more mine. And I learned something important. The right person does not make you feel like they are settling. They make you feel chosen. Until I find that, I am perfectly happy choosing myself every single day. Bye.